Hello, welcome to this workshop of relationship healing. My name is Geetika Nayyar, and I have got lots and lots of videos here in the playlist. You can just visit the playlist and you can watch all the videos related to the relationship healing. So, in this workshop, this tiny, tiny workshop, what we are doing is that we are talking about some concepts before we dive into healing. Now, everybody, be it anybody I have seen, everybody has some or the other relationship issues. So they may be very tiny or they may be huge, depending on your capability, depending on your karma, depending on your patience level, your friendliness, and of course, your short circuit. When it fuses, you don't know. So, what we are trying to do here is before we dive into healing, before we dive into the meditation aspect, I just want to share certain aspects with you which you wouldn't probably have thought. Sometimes when a child is screaming, when a child is throwing a tantrum, the child wants a mobile phone or the child wants some junk food. So, what we do is if you try and logically explain the child, no, it's not good for you, you shouldn't have it, it's bad for health, anything, the child doesn't get it. Definitely not. So, what we do as parents sometimes is that we divert the child's mind and we tell them that, the other day we had this memory, we did this, we went to the park, you really like the bunny there, the bunnies are so cute. So, some other thing. It is like a diversion technique, but what is happening is when the child is full of emotion and you give the child some logic or some mental story, the child's mind goes there. So it's not just a fancy diversion, it's not something very simple, but it's deliberate because see, emotional body on a very esoteric level, our emotional body is here and the mental body is above the emotional body. So in order to, when you go to the mental body, you go higher and you feel better. So in terms of relationships, if I tell you right now, yes, your relationship is very bad, oh, please tell me about it, and we start solving it right away, that is one part of it. But another thing is, why not just talk about relationships in general? I'm not talking about the simple stuff that you crib about what's bothering you or you tell me how you've been wronged. But let us, thoda sa hatke na, let us just talk about the nuances of relationship. So when we bake a cake, there are certain ingredients we put in. There is a technique we use. There is a proper recipe that happens before a cake is actually baked. There is a process to it. Similarly, if I have a relationship with somebody, it's not always out of thin air. We sometimes think, oh, ye to bas meri god mein tapak gaya, and such a nice person he is. But everything that there is a reason behind everything. So let's unpack this very carefully. Uh, I'm using ChatGPT language here. Unpack this. He always says this. So let's get to it. For example, I have a bad relationship with someone, and let's say I have a bad relationship with my sister. All right. Now, we were born from the same uh, mother, we had the same surroundings, same environment, but our childhood was different because maybe I came before. This is just an example. I don't actually have a sister, but just to make you understand. So maybe I came before, I was born before, or she was born before. So we were born at different times. And I'm not talking about the astrological time here. I'm talking about the economic situation of my parents, the moods of my parents, the family pressures or a work pressure that my parents were facing at that time, the health of my parents. Everything contributes to the child that's growing, right? So sometimes it happens that a child is born and the parents are not very well off, and it's just the starting of their life, their marriage, and they're just collecting funds, and then the child comes and they have to really struggle. And then, of course, their new parents, the confusion, the tension, the stress is there. Then comes along the second child. Now you know how parenting is done. So you do all the hidden trials with the first child, and now with the second child, you're like, okay, Pakka, this is what we have to do. We don't need to bother much. And the parents are more well off as well now, having spent some years. So this second child gets a different childhood than the first child. All right. So me and my sister, we got different childhood. Now, me and my sister, we had a very different equation growing up, and we had a different past. Say, for example, our past lives were very different. Maybe I was a warrior in a past life, very aggressive. She was a poet in a past life, so she might be, very flaky. Ho jayega. And I'm like, no, no, you have to do this. So I can be very self-righteous, very aggressive and powerful. And she can be like, no, very loving, very nice, very kind-hearted. It's because of the seeds that her soul carries and the seed that my soul carries. So that's why personality wise, at soul level, we are different. Also, if I can see that, if I see from the Akashic records level, my soul type, my soul personality will be different than her soul personality in some or the other way. Or in astrology, in Indian astrology, in Chinese astrology, the kind of, the collection of planets that you have in Chinese astrology, the animals that you have, your personality is really, really different. So these are all basics of what is happening. If we have to bake a cake, isn't cocoa powder and chocolate, dark chocolate, different when it's used? Now, the people who don't bake cakes, they would not know probably, but a cake, when in a cake you put chocolate powder, cocoa powder, or you put dark chocolate, it's massive difference. Similarly, if you put white sugar or if you put brown sugar, the taste is very different. In brownies, we use brown sugar because of the fudginess that it brings. Similarly, when two people are in a relationship, it depends their own their own form, their own personality from this life, from past lives, their soul akashic personality, and also the personality that they grow with. So part 2 of this video is coming now. Wait for it, and we'll talk about it in the next video. Thank you. Take care.